Caitlin Clark now has 40 more turnovers than anybody else in the league.
So maybe
40.
So, listen to this. Caitlin Clark was the first overall pick in the women's NBA draft as the Indiana Fever picked her. And she wasn't an average player. She earned it all with her remarkable talent and perfect execution, with the Indiana Fever's head coach, Christy Sides, lauding her after picking her for the current season. Caitlin is one of the most naturally gifted basketball players I have ever seen enter the WNBA from the college level. Her shooting and passing abilities captivated an entire audience of basketball fans. And her ability to make those around her better was even more evident during her collegiate career. But do you know, since the start of the ongoing season, Caitlin Clark has been under the radar of criticism, been bullied, and even called overrated.
As defenses start collapsing, I thought she would be good.
But is it true? Is Caitlin Clark overrated? Is Indiana Fever coach blaming Caitlin Clark for 12th pass? Stay with us as we are about to unfold this shocking chaos in the WNBA. So, recently Indiana Fevers lost their 13th game of the season and are placed 9th at the points table as they have lost 13 games thus far. But is this all Clark's fault? Let's just be honest, no it isn't. On Thursday night, Fever was handed yet another defeat by the Seattle Storm. Caitlin Clark was up to the mark as she scored 20 points and dished out 9 assists, but it wasn't enough to take Fever over the line as her side ended up losing the game by 103-88. Jewel Lloyd led the Storm's offense with 22 points, while Skylar Diggins-Smith and Nneka Ogwumike also chipped in with impressive performances. This loss drops the Fever's record to 1-8, the second worst in the league. While speaking to the media after the game, Clark said our defensive rotations were bad. The third quarter was when we lost the game, Clark said. I just thought our defensive rotations were bad. It's not really about our offense. It was our defense. You're not going to win a basketball game giving up 103. And how could you fault one player entirely for the loss, and particularly the one who is living up to the expectations? Well, there is more to the story. Here is some background stuff before we get to the actual point. Before Clark entered the league, there was so much hype around her, and rightly so. Her shooting is out of this world, and every other facet of the game is equally remarkable. People have been calling her female Stephen Curry, and at the moment, she is single-handedly transforming women's basketball, and it won't be an exaggeration that she is a monumental basketball player of all time. She has massively attracted the audience to the WNBA, and the league has the brilliant opportunity to rise from the shadow and make a name for itself, but the story is otherwise. Now here is the point you all have been waiting for. Why is she being bullied, hated, and getting attacked from left, right, center? Why is the WNBA openly attacking their golden girl? One of the main reasons is the WNBA's toxic culture. Yes. To make it more understandable, we will share some stories and paint a picture, so don't go anywhere. A former WNBA champion, Candice Wiggins, revealed that she was bullied in the WNBA for her sexual orientation and popularity. In her own words, she said, "I wanted to play 2 more seasons of WNBA, but the experience didn't lend itself to my mental state. It was a depressing state in the WNBA. It's not watched. Our value is diminished. It can be quite hard. I didn't like the culture inside the WNBA, and without revealing too much, it was toxic for me. My spirit was being broken." Following her statement, many WNBA players denied her claims, insisting her experience was personal and not reflective of the league as a whole. And now, if we add up what's happening to Caitlin Clark, Candice's claims sound true. Tell us your thoughts, though. And do you remember when Luka Doncic first entered the NBA as a rookie? He recorded an encouraging message for the WNBA. The WNBA could have stayed silent if they disapproved of this harmless video, but instead, they ended up trolling Doncic for no reason. As Minnesota Lynx tweeted, "Says a guy who hasn't been to a WNBA game all season but got sent a jersey and recorded a scripted video." The tweet is still there, you can check it. Harsh, isn't it? So, it's all become visible that why is everything horrible happening to Caitlin Clark? Caitlin has been a dedicated football player her entire life, but the WNBA is not treating her right. Ever since Caitlin Clark has emerged as the biggest star in basketball, WNBA legends tried to downplay and belittle her achievements. Despite being a vocal champion for the WNBA and its players, Diana Taurasi's recent comments towards rising star Caitlin Clark seem to contradict her usual stance. When she was asked in a show who would pick first in the draft, Paige Buckers or Caitlin Clark, instead of backing Clark, Diana replied, "I would take Paige," but she didn't stop here. When the announcement that Caitlin would be excluded from Team USA's roster, Diana remarked that 20 years old is quite young and making the team is challenging. Nevertheless, when the interviewer reminded her that she herself had made the roster at that age, Diana responded, "I won 3 national championships in a row, I was named." For decades, the WNBA has struggled financially, surviving only due to subsidies from the NBA. Without the NBA's annual support of millions of dollars, the WNBA wouldn't exist. Now, there's a player with the potential to change the league's fortunes, particularly in terms of revenue, but Diana is downplaying her potential. Consider this. In just the first 7 games of the 2024 season, the Indiana Fever, who picked Caitlin Clark, has already seen more attendance than in the past 2 seasons combined. Just as Michael Jordan revolutionized the NBA, boosting viewership, revenue, and the league overall, Caitlin Clark seems to possess that same potential. Even before she was drafted, an arena was changed to accommodate more fans, highlighting the immense promise she holds. Yet, the GOAT of women's basketball, who should be her biggest supporter, has become her greatest critic. Why is Diana doing this? It's because she's jealous. Before even stepping onto a WNBA court, Caitlin Clark signed a Nike shoe deal that has already earned her more than Diana made in her entire WNBA career. Despite being considered the GOAT, Diana sees that Caitlin is already making a greater impact than she did over the past 2 decades. And let's discuss the recent event. In recent games, Clark has taken to the court with a different mindset, appearing much more aggressive in her plays and even towards opposing players. This new attitude was evident on Thursday against the Seattle Storm, when she picked up a technical foul after a heated altercation with Storm veteran and former Indiana player Victoria Vivians. The incident occurred after Clark hit a step-back 3-pointer in the second quarter of a close game. As they headed back down the court, Vivians shoulder barged her, leading to an animated exchange of words. Clark's teammates had to step in and back her away from Victoria, and both players received technical fouls for the altercation. Despite her assertiveness, Clark is still learning the ropes of the big leagues. However, her evolving mindset is becoming more apparent. So, what legends think of Caitlin Clark is sad and scary. Despite performing well and carrying her side in the current WNBA season, all she gets is hate and bullying. And besides Diana, there are lots of WNBA players who are now trying to belittle Caitlin Clark, despite she holds the ability to increase the revenue and audience of the WNBA. Who do you support, Diana and Caitlin? Tell us in the comment section.